they don't do a good job setting up a priority system, that's what will happen. People will panic and there'll be fights and God knows what else.
Yeah, I've heard, I always say they haven't developed any plans for the phase 2 and phase 3 yet, or how they're going to notify, but I've heard that they're thinking about doing some type of reservation system where you can actually either phone in or maybe log in somewhere and reserve slots, just to try to prevent what was happening in Florida and in California.
Yeah. That's the last thing we need is people acting like that and acting hostile. And I mean, we've got enough problems.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't happen in Maine, right?
Right.
Oh, you should have seen them trying to buy the park passes when we sold the last one. I almost had to call the police upstairs. They were having a fight over the park passes.
Oh, geez.
That's when
All
you
right,
start.
why don't we
the
get
Ross,
this?
Claire.
Why don't we get this meeting underway here?
Yeah, 6:30. Good.
Okay, I would like to call a meeting to order. Minutes, none presented. Item 3, appointments, recognitions, and resignations. Consideration of appointment of Jonathan Sargent, the vacant MEO 1 position in the Highway Division of the Public Works Department, with his effective date of hire being on or before January 29, 2021, its probationary rate of $20.46 per hour, increasing to $21.54 per hour after successful completion of the mandatory 6-month probationary period.
Yeah, the fellow did well in the interview. He's got a good background. One former employer, he'd been there a number of years. They said they'd hire him back in a second.
So this is Wendy. I would move approval.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Seconded, but can we clarify? His name is spelled 3 different ways. Just I don't know whether it's that way on his application, but I have a son named Jonathan, and it just kind of struck me funny.
Well, Jeff, if it was in my memo, I do that to see if anybody actually reads them.
Oh, I read it.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was all I saw was JOHNATHON, then JON-a-thon.
And then there was a Jonathan.
Yeah,
Was
which is
there?
a
That's
Jonathan.
what's in the minutes. I mean, in the appointments, it's Jonathan.
Yeah,
I think as long as we spell his name right on the check, he'll be
Right.
good.
that's right.
Anyway.
Never heard of a Jonathan before.
Oh, I have.
Well,
Yeah.
at camp with an outhouse.
Okay. Seconded.
All right, any further discussion? No. All right, how do you vote, Wendy? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, we don't have to do it that way. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Great, thank you.
I see John.
Taking the trash out, doing his duty.
Consent agenda, item A, thank you note from citizen to Fire Chief Bender, and item B, Hancock County Commissioners meeting minutes from December 5, 2021.
Move approval.
I'll second that.
I would like to, that would be December 5, 2020, correct?
Oh,
I was practicing writing 2021.
Okay. All right.
as amended.
I have a motion.
Move as amended, yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Any selectmen's reports?
The minutes actually, John, say December 5th, 2019. They're there.
Yep.
So maybe they're a
All
little
over the place.
Yeah. Okay, no selectmen's reports. Unfinished business, consideration of Public Works Director Smith's memo to Town Manager Lunt Jr. dated December 30, 2021, related to the town's current and future fire, EMS, and police needs, including retaining the professional services of Hedifine Engineering's professional team to develop a floor plan, elevation view, and construction cost estimate for space to address these needs at a not to exceed cost of $10,000 to pay for these services to be drawn from the town office building reserve account number 4050100-24570 with a current balance of approximately $113,468, leaving a balance of approximately $103,468 in the account.
Thank you, John. And Claire was practicing the 2021 there as well. So that's December 30, 2020. I'm guessing you folks have all read the memo we put together.
Yep.
We started out with fire and EMS. And then I spoke with Jim 2 or 3 weeks ago and was like, wait a minute. And he joined us being Basil, Mike, and myself. And I think I think what we're proposing, what the fellows are proposing, is a good idea. It's been talked about, bantered about back and forth. And I'm going to turn it over to Mike and do my best to let those fellows do all the talking.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, so we're kind of going back to square one, I guess, if you will, looking at possibility of expanding the existing town office building to try to find quarters for the firefighters, hopefully moving to a 24/7 staffing model here in the next year or two, as well as providing space for the ambulance service. And as Tony said, we kind of had a discussion with Chief Willis, and he seemed to indicate I'll let him tell exactly what he was looking at, but indicated that he had some needs or could have some needs in this expansion. So we certainly brought him into the fold and had some discussions with him to see if we could provide him with the space and the services that he would need with that too. So, right now we're just asking, or Tony's asking, to use some reserve money to move forward with this option. It's, without getting into the details, it's probably going to be similar to the first option we looked at expanding out into the Cranberry Isle parking lot. The original option with a single-story addition. Now we're looking at putting 2 stories on there to give us the room that we feel we're going to need for both for all fire, EMS, and law enforcement. Hopefully we can pull this together and get it to you folks by the next board meeting, which is on the 19th, I believe. Go from there. I know Basil is on, and I guess I'll let Chief Willis chime in if he wants to add anything.
Sure. I get just a little bit of background from what I guess brought me to the table. Jeff, I don't think you were on the board yet when we did my last chief sharing agreement. So I just kind of want to go over the goals for you and the others that may not have looked at them for a while. Each time we've done a chief sharing agreement for the last 7 years, I'm tasked with various goals that we're to work towards. And the current agreement is a 2-year agreement. We just now finished the first year and we're starting the second. And from that, it says the chief will focus on the following goals. I'll just give you the ones that I think are relevant. Study the feasibility of dispatch consolidation between the 3 MDI towns currently providing public safety dispatching services. Study the feasibility of centralizing employment of both agencies' employees. Conduct strategic planning to assist with future planning for integrating the agencies to a unified agency providing services to both communities. And finally, study the feasibility of facility consolidation. Those are from the police chief sharing agreement. And then in addition to that, in Bar Harbor, the town council does a pretty formal annual goal setting where they have a facilitator come in and they figure out what they want us all working on during the year and which projects they'd like to support. And I think a couple of Bar Harbor goals are relevant to this discussion. So from Bar Harbor, goal number 3 is improving the effectiveness of delivery of municipal services. Under that is strategy 3A, building on lessons learned from our collaborations with the town of Mount Desert for shared police services, explore additional possibilities in public safety, including dispatching services and other town services and functions. Examples are human resources and finances, where collaboration among towns could lead to greater efficiencies effectiveness and efficiencies. In 2021, seek to expand discussions among Bar Harbor, the town of Mount Desert, Southwest Harbor, and Tremont to examine ways to collaborate for shared police, dispatch, or other public safety services. And finally, strategy 3B from the council is study space and facilities needs for public safety functions with Bar Harbor and recommend shorter term solutions, even as longer term exploration of strategies for collaboration with the town of Mount Desert continues. So as I was, actually Derlin prompted me a month or so ago, said, take a look at that and see if you can figure out a way to meet some of your goals and benefit with law enforcement. So I kind of broke it down into 3 areas. The idea is that the fire and EMS will go out into a new addition that's out in the Cranberry lot. And then all of the current police dispatch spaces and at least one of the fire bays would be available for law enforcement occupancy. So I looked at some areas of how could we best use that space. And we actually just finished renovating Bar Harbor PD, which is still extremely limited as far as space goes. So I worked with an architect from over there on that project just to get some concepts, and he's doing up a sketch drawing for us. And the 3 areas I looked at was, number 1 is combined administrative services for law enforcement. So right now, when I think of administrative services, that's me, Dave Kearns, and Karen Richter, our administrative assistant. And we work in essentially 2 or 3 different locations, never at the same time. And it makes life pretty difficult. So if we could find a way to get us under one roof, we'd be far more efficient. The next category was regional dispatch services. The town of Southwest Harbor has been actively asking us if we were interested in providing at least overnight dispatch to them. I think that conversation's ongoing with Chief Brown's passing. It kind of got interrupted, but it's still relevant. And actually today, the Southwest Harbor town manager emailed me and some others asking to have a conversation about consolidated law enforcement services. I'm not sure where that will go. And then finally, the third area was evidence processing and storage. Our evidence is stored all over the place in 2 different towns. It's plenty secure and everything, but it's very mundane to get to all of it. So we worked that into a plan and found that we could accomplish the vast majority of that with the vacated space that the fire department would be leaving. I haven't really explored many of these ideas with Bar Harbor. You know, were they interested in having their police administrative services in Northeast Harbor? But I think there are things we should be talking about. Same thing for dispatch, where, you know, perhaps by working with Bar Harbor, we could come up with some solutions for them. They need a new police station in order to fit us all in it. I'm not sure they really think they have the money to build it. So you may be able to provide them with a solution by taking some pressure off of that as well. So yeah. There's a long-winded explanation of what brings me to the table. And I guess if you want to ask questions or
and John, when Jim explained to me what he thought, or to Mike and I, it was like, yeah, it was one of those duh moments. Let's do it. It's not going to be cheap. We've learned that, but spread out over 3 emergency services that are vitally important, not just our respective towns, but to the island. I think Jim's planned layout is very good. Mike's described his, Basil as well. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you, guys.
Does Basil, I'm sorry, John, I think Basil might be on.
Yeah, I'm on. I mean, basically, our stance really hasn't changed. I mean, we're still just, you know, we've kind of got some very limited office space now, and we've got, you know, with our 24/7 staffing, we've got people kind of spread all over everywhere. So, I mean, obviously anything we can do or the town can do to help us get the staff in the station and kind of help us consolidate our stuff would be awesome. So we're excited for anything, basically. That's all I got.
Good. Okay, thanks, Ben. Anybody else? All right, good. So this is a motion, would be a motion to approve $10,000 in engineering.
John, I have I have a couple of questions, but
Yeah.
I've somehow lost the Zoom for a minute there. How many, I think, first of all, I want to say thank you for putting this together and putting your heads together on this. This sounds like a more doable solution. I like the idea of having Jim back in town. So that would be nice. And I also am heartened that there are serious conversations going on about consolidation of public safety. I think that's definitely something we have to do, and it's coming, and I'm glad that we're moving toward that. So that's good news. I had just a couple of questions, and I'm in favor of seeing some kind of plan so we can really see exactly what you're talking about. But how many, it says they're planning for 5 truck bays. How many do we currently have, Mike?
In Northeast Harbor,
Yes.
we have 2. Actually, we have 3 truck bays. 2 are used by the fire department and 1 is used by the ambulance company.
Okay. I'm wondering why you need so many more.
Well, again, we're looking down the road 30 to 40 years, hopefully, for this building. So we wanted to provide room. So if we should have to add additional truck or an additional ambulance, or even have a place to store our pickup truck now during the daytime, which is kept outside in the snow and stuff. We have that flexibility to do that with the 5 bays.
Tony?
You can never have enough space. Like Jim said, or Mike said, the PD would take over the truck bay where the ambulances are currently stored, the one closest to that space. The other 2 would be retrofitted to take care of Mike's needs, office space, housing, things of that nature, like we talked about in February, maybe. This is a modification of option 2, I believe.
Right.
And
Yeah, I just,
Good.
sorry, Tony, I don't want to cut you off, but I just as an example, we house the ladder truck and 1 engine in Northeast Harbor. And the only tanker truck the town has is up in Solonsville. And I'm getting very concerned that there are times that we can't get that tanker out of the station because we just don't have anybody in Solonsville to get that. And so that kind of forces us to have somebody drive all the way from Northeast Harbor up to Solonsville to get the tanker truck. And then perhaps maybe go back to Seal Harbor or Otter Creek or wherever it's needed. So having that extra bay, or even that 2 extra bays, gives us that opportunity to move that tanker down here in Northeast Harbor, where at least I know I have staffing and that truck will get out if it's needed here or elsewhere.
I have a question. I mean, apart from the option 4 that's listed out, apart from what seems like an obvious dislike for the site as a choice, is it worth at this point at least getting a rough idea of what that would look like, option 4? I mean, and a rough estimate. I mean, I read carefully the downsides, but I still think it's worth considering.
that was,
You're talking about the up at the highway garage?
Yep.
Is that what-
Option 4 in the memo. Yeah.
I threw that out last meeting, not threw it out, suggested it. And we were hard pressed to come up with some positives, really.
Well, I mean, one of the positives just pointed out was if the firemen were there and the tanker truck was there, and as well as I know it's a little further from Northeast Harbor than Northeast Harbor is, but anyway, it is relatively central. I mean, it is, and anyway, it just seems to me that for $7 or $9 or whatever $1 million we're going to end up spending possibly on the facility, that a few more thousand for some sketches just to get an idea of how feasible something is worthwhile.
I think and Martha, if you probably remember this, when we were talking about the concept plan for the green space at the bottom of C Street. I said, we can take any fire station that's on paper and put it wherever we want. It just depends on things such as the downside of, for instance, the highway garage site, a well, septic system. You're going to be driving uphill or downhill, quite steep. Wintertime, the access to Route 198, which they smoke right along there pretty quick, summertime and heavy traffic. About the only positive, like I pointed out in the memo, is we own the land. And at some point, I meant to put this in the memo, but I didn't. We've been very fortunate that years ago, DEP went around and rated all of the sand salt piles on a scale priority 1 through 5. The ones immediately had to build sand salt sheds, and they got state money. We were like the bottom end of the 5, for thank goodness. But at some point, they're going to be asking us to build a sand salt building, and we're going to need some space up behind the highway garage to do that. If we do that, we'd be really overpopulating that section of property, I think. Jeff, have you seen the property?
Yeah. And I understand it.
But yeah, we can do it.
I get that.
Yeah, but sure, we can do that. If I could up the 10 to 12 and not to exceed 12,000.
I'm the only one that would be interested in at least getting a sense of whether it's feasible. And
Yeah, I wanted to say one thing on that, Jeff. One of my concerns about having a fire station or your central fire station up at the town garage is the remote location. Right now, how we operate, we obviously have 3 fire stations, 1 Seal Harbor, 1 Solonsville, 1 Northeast Harbor, but the Northeast Harbor station is considered the central station. And most of your on-call firefighters live in or around the village of Northeast Harbor. My concern, and most of these on-call firefighters, they're issued about 150 to 200 pounds of gear that they have to have with them. And most of them, if not all of them, store it here in the Northeast Harbor station. We have gear lockers here, and they keep their gear there so they don't have to keep it in their car or keep it at home. And typically what happens is when we have an emergency response or a call, they come down to the Northeast Harbor station, get in their gear, get in the trucks, and you hit the road. My concern about moving everything out to the town garage is we're going to lose those on-call firefighters. Or you're going to slowly start to see they're going to lose interest in participating in the fire department. I can't say this for sure, but I just get a sense that people that live in Northeast Harbor, Seal Harbor, and Solonsville are not going to be willing to drive out to the town garage on every call to get their gear and get into a truck. So that was my biggest concern, and I didn't want to kill, if you will, the little on-call fire department we have left. Can it be done? Yeah. But I really sense that if we move in that direction, you're probably going to see in a few short years, we're going to go from what we call a combination fire department, where you have some full-time and some on-call, to a fully full-time fire department. Because you may lose those people that are willing to get up and drive now another 5 minutes, 10 minutes or whatever to respond to a call. And that's a direction that you can't reverse from. You can't go back. So that was my biggest concerns, plus what Tony was saying about the land and the cost and everything like that as well, thrown in there.
Jeff,
I was just going to say, I can see that it sounds like there were a lot of downsides to the town garage area.
A lot of it was the site work.
It just sounded like there were a lot of problems. But I will say, Mike, what you just brought up, we're going to be going towards that full-time paid fire department sooner or later anyway. I mean, we've got a handful of people who are still willing to come out, but times are changing fast and we're all getting older. So I think that's inevitable. And I think it's going to be, a island-wide fire department with full-time firefighters. That's my prediction.
And what I was going to say is, Jeff, rather than the sketches, which, like I said, you could take those sketches and put them in my backyard and build the fire station. We could ask them to do a cost estimate.
Okay. Well,
If
Yeah,
and
we
I-
got the plans for the building, right?
Yes, pretty much so. Yes, we have to fine tune that. And if that's the case, all the concept plans we've seen can go, Martha, between you and some sound. I wouldn't do that. I don't even suggest
I'd
it.
rather you didn't.
I know. Yes, but for the 10,000 for that budget figure, we could get a cost estimate to do that. Sure, then everybody's comfortable.
I think it's always good. I mean, to explore and I've heard the
Sure.
many discussions. There's a lot of moving parts, and the volunteer firemen have been a discussion point several times, and the central location and the preponderance of calls from the Northeast Harbor and Seal Harbor, but now we're bringing in possible law enforcement, and we're talking about potentially Southwest Harbor being connected. And I don't know, I think it's worth considering.
Sure. We will do it.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have one more question for Jim. If we centralize administration in Northeast Harbor, and we're actually doing some building and building modifications in order to accommodate that, would Bar Harbor help pay for it?
Can't answer that question at this point. I think
you,
that's
Martha.
the inference. That maybe that's the inference. Yeah.
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 Thanks.
But other than the manager being aware that we're having these discussions, it hasn't really been vetted yet.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
So I move what we approve the cost of drawing up plans for the expansion of the town office, and that we look at site plans or site work for the town garage site.
A construction.
Word it,
Construction estimate for the full facility at the highway. Yes.
That's what I meant.
Yes. Okay.
I'll
Thank you.
second that.
Great. Very good. Any more discussion? Thank you, guys. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
New business, review of fiscal year 2022 budgets, public safety. All right. So Mike, I have one question. Actually, no, first for Jim. Your part-time seasonal is way up. What's going on with that?
Yep, that's we have an employee that's been on medical leave for a really extended period of time, and his position hasn't been budgeted because he wasn't able to work for a really long time, and he has been able to come back in a limited capacity. Has been working 25 to 30 hours a week, is still enjoying the town's health insurance benefit, and is doing a lot of tremendously good work for the police department. Cleaning up just things we can never get to. Lost and found. He's actually doing some criminal investigations and things like that. So when Derlin called me about wages this year, he said, you've got one guy working that's not fully funded. And I said, yeah, let's use that part-time line, because we haven't used a part-time police officer in Northeast Harbor for 5 years, I think, or more. We've just kept it as a placeholder. So we funded that patrolman I'm speaking to you about, who is still on light duty for medical reasons, but actually working and doing a lot of good, and put him in that line there at about 30 hours a week. That's what that is.
So he's not seasonal. This is year round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he's working, like I said, 25, 30 hours a week, and it's going really well for everybody.
Okay.
It would probably be appropriate to rename the line, John, to
Yeah.
something more appropriate so people would understand if you guys are comfortable with the concept.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any more for police?
Is the holiday pay increase under several departments, is that because of the change in the laws? Is that where that comes from?
No, the holiday pay is just a public safety thing. And what we do is the town, I forget if we have 11 holidays or however many it is, that money goes into a bank. So like when Labor Day comes, they don't really know the difference on their paycheck. It just happens. And then at the end of the year in December, we just pay them a cash out for every holiday that everyone else got to stay home for during the year.
But I
So
noticed,
the spike, I think, is probably tied to the wages. If Derlin did a 1.5% increase, because we literally just go in and figure 8 hours at 11 holidays for this many people at this rate. And that's where the math comes from.
I see, thanks.
The only other thing on the PD budget I wanted to point out is you'll notice the cruiser line. I think that's equipment on page 3 at the bottom. There's a bit of an increase, and that's in anticipation of going to a hybrid cruiser next year. I've worked with Phil and the sustainability committee, and we're working on that for both towns, and they do cost more. So,
Okay, great. That's awesome.
We'll have to see if that resolution passes a town meeting, see if we approve it.
I think we'll be all right.
And looking at some of the electric bills, I mean, that's certainly something we could look at going down the road, but more with the sustainability stuff.
I got a hunch a dump truck's going to be a little more expensive than the little ones.
Probably.
Yeah, you wait till you get to the fire trucks.
I know. That's right.
Well, we're gonna try to start for you and pave the way.
I'll have to have a trailer behind me with the batteries.
The standard build now for a Ford Police Interceptor is actually a hybrid. You have to select a gas only if you want something other than the standard.
In a few years, there won't be a choice. That's just going to be, that's how you buy a car, I think.
Yeah, and we wanted to give it a year. There's some of them on the road now, and I'm hearing good reports on it. So I think we're good to go.
Good.
But John, back to the budget for the PD. I don't think there's much else on there that's changed.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot.
No, and the dispatch budget is the same. I think that's actually down a little bit because of some benefit lines.
Yep. Okay, looks good to me.
Thank you.
Fire. So I have a question, Mike. You've got firefighter full-time. Is that an addition of one full-time position?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, as I alluded to earlier, that is adding one more to our full-time staff.
Good.
And there's some other benefit increases in there, but those are all related to the addition of one staff member.
That's correct. I think by discussing this with the town manager earlier, I think by adding the wages and all the benefits and everything, I think it came out to roughly around 85,000 increase overall to add one more staff position.
Hey, Mike.
Yep.
Are you requiring EMT training moving forward, or ability to earn it?
I haven't decided yet, Tony, but I'm leaning towards, certainly it's going to be in the job description. If an EMT license will be preferred, but with the understanding that you may need to get your EMT license within the first 1 or 2 years of employment. By discussing this subject with Basil for the last year and a half, I think we're probably going to be moving closer and closer to helping them out a little bit more. I'll probably be bringing this to the board, matter of fact, in the next couple of months, of some sort of an agreement where we'll actually start doing some automatic responses or some type of automatic response with the ambulance service, just to help them out a little bit more.
Good. Sounds good to me.
Kind of off subject as far as the budget goes, but you brought up the ambulance service, and I actually I see Basil still on there. I had a chance to have a conversation with him maybe, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months ago, just about the ambulance service. I don't know if anyone else, it's something I don't know a lot about, but it's something that certainly I think a lot of people feel is an invaluable service and an important one in our community. So I personally feel that after I think as a town, we need to do everything we can do to help keep the ambulance service going. But I think maybe after we finish this budget process, if we have a little lull, I'd love to have the ambulance service come and give kind of a presentation of where everything stands with them at one of our meetings, because I think it's important for us to know about.
Yeah, this is Basil. Yeah, and we'd love to do that. I think it'd be good just for the board to know kind of, where the ambulance service is at as far as, their situation, staffing, things like that, and really just what we do and give you guys the chance to ask us questions and just kind of get to know what your ambulance service is all about, because we're kind of quiet a lot of the time, so you don't really hear about us. So definitely.
That's good though.
Yeah.
Good idea, Matt.
All right. Yeah, I didn't see much else.
I was going to say, I tried to cut other areas where I can, just to minimize the increase in the,
Yeah, I noticed that. That's good. Thank you for that.
by bringing in an extra position. Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, everybody good with that? Any more discussion? Okay, thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, any other business? All right, hearing no other business, I'll move on to treasurer's warrants. Warrants to be approved and signed. Town invoice AP 2137 in the amount of $417,059.56.
This is Wendy. I would move approval.
This is Matt. I'll second that.
Great. Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Authorized warrants to be signed. AP 2135 in the amount of $5,142.10. AP 2136 in the amount of $1,643.39. Town payroll PR 2114 in the amount of $105,716.72.
Martha Dudman moves signature.
Matt Hart seconds that.
Great. Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Wendy?
Wendy Littlefield abstains.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Thank you. Warrants to be acknowledged. School invoice 7 in the amount of $200,000.26, and school payroll 14 in the amount of $81,861.15.
This is Jeff Wood. I move acknowledgement of those warrants.
Matt Hart will second that.
Great. Jeff, how do you vote?
Jeff Wood votes aye.
Matt, how do you vote?
Matt Hart votes aye.
Martha, how do you vote?
Martha Dudman votes aye.
Wendy, how do you vote?
Wendy Littlefield votes aye.
And John McCauley votes aye. Great. Thank you.
Move adjournment.
Oh, can I, just before we adjourn,
Yeah.
you guys see that, the email Derlin sent around today from Phil about, I don't know if we need to discuss that just quickly about splitting third-party requests up into two. I really like the idea just because of this format we're on and my screen is only so large. So I think that might make sense to split it up into two meetings, the third-party requests.
Yeah, I have no problem with it if it fits into the schedule, Derlin.
Well, we can make it fit, John.
So I'll pipe up for a minute too.
You need a haircut.
That's obvious, Tony. Thank you though for sharing that with everybody. But so when I was writing the warrant committee proposed agenda, John, at least John can laugh.
I
When
thought
I was doing when I was writing the schedule up, it's the one shared meeting that we all have. And so like, when do we want to do it? Do we want to do it the next night? So we usually go that Tuesday, we want to think about it. how, do we have half come one day and half come the other? I think there's a little bit more thought that needs to go into this than,
Why not just split them alphabetically and have half come one week and half come the next time we meet?
I like that.
Yeah, sure.
Is that doable, Phil, to split them alphabetically, like, and do it over the course of a month, or?
I think you have 20, you have 40, yeah, I think there's 40 service groups. So normally we'd make them all come in and we'd all come in together. So we want to have time for questions. So I think it's got to come from, from Derlin's side and, how do you want to split it? I don't really care. It was more of an idea as we were trying to do the schedule. How do we make something like that work again?
Yeah, I agree, Martha. If it could be, half of the first half, one meeting, and the second half, the next meeting, because that would give us time to read over the applicants and really come up with good questions and be, reasonable.
Can I ask a question? Does this mean then the warrant committee would only meeting to do the third party requests on nights that the selectmen met, or could we do them like on a Monday and a Tuesday so that the selectmen could come to the warrant committee and the warrant committee could go to the selectmen's meeting? Do you know what I mean?
Oh.
Rather than asking the selectmen to only come to the warrant committee meetings, which are on Tuesday, or asking the warrant committee to only come to the selectmen's meetings, which is on Monday, could we do one group on Monday and one group on Tuesday, get them all done the same week?
Instead of 4 different meetings, have 2.
Yes, yes. And I think that would, because the warrant committee meetings tend to be on Tuesdays. And so those people that are on warrant committee tend to schedule their Tuesdays out. So they know already. You all know that you've got Monday nights tied up. So it's respectful to both committees. Just a thought.
Can I pipe up? Historically, the meeting's always been on the Tuesday after President's Day. And that it just happens to be, and anytime there's been the same thing happens on on Martin Luther King Day, same thing. The warrant committee doesn't meet because your meetings are now on Tuesday. So, when I was doing the schedule, that's something that came up. So I guess we could do it on the Monday night, so do the Tuesday night as planned. And then, so when Claire and I were discussing it, do we do it Wednesday or do we wait till the following Monday? Because the warrant committee is going to meet on Tuesday of that week anyhow, because I already have my schedule out. So there's some things to work out.
We're flexible.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
That's what the warrant committee has noticed about you all.
Okay, so are we gonna go back and think about this a little, or what do you want to
Let's
do?
figure it out so we don't have to mess with it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to get out the letters to the service parties this week. So if you guys want to do it the 16th and 17th, or wait and do it, whatever was it, the 21st and 22nd, which is the following week of February.
It makes sense to do the first set on that Tuesday, the 16th,
Okay.
I think. And
I
then,
agree with Martha.
and then you're suggesting that what are you suggesting, Phil, for the second time?
We could do the following night, which would be a Wednesday, or we could wait to the following Monday because I've already scheduled for the following Tuesday. I think that's not going to work.
I prefer to wait till the following Monday.
As would I.
Back to back is a little.
I like the idea of having the time, like Wendy said, it'd be really nice that people read them over. So there we go. We got Tuesday and then the following Monday, and I can keep with my proposed schedule.
Perfect.
We'll keep to our Tuesday nights. Perfect.
Perfect.
I'm happy.
Everybody's happy when you're happy, Phil, as long as you get your hair cut.
Darrell, do we need a motion for that, or?
No, I'll just we'll just
Okay.
adjust the schedule and send it out via an email so it's different, so you're not confused.
Yep,
You can
okay,
put it
good.
in your budget books.
And with all due respect to Mr. Lichtenstein, I might have thought I was muted.
You weren't, Tony. You did it on purpose, and that's fine. I can take it. Wait till it's your turn to be on the other side.
Very good, very true.
So do you, just as a matter of clarification, we'll split those alphabetically for the sake of just having a logical way of scheduling them, so we're not,
Makes
Half
sense.
and half.
Yeah.
Alphabetically, so long as it's a roughly equal number.
yeah, I mean, it
How
won't
about reverse?
necessarily be 20/20, but it'll be
Thanks,
close probably.
Okay, good.
That way you don't have your group saying, well, I want to come on the Monday.
Yeah,
I'd rather
exactly.
come on the
That'd be a
Tuesday.
nightmare.
We are setting the schedule, and if they would like to receive money from the town of Mount Desert, they come on the prescribed date that we ask them.
They should have started their name with a B.
Or
That's
you,
right.
or speaking with somebody with a W, you should do the second half of the alphabet first, just to make up for all the, generate unfairness to people with late letter names.
Yeah. Public Works is always done last for the budget. And before they were broken up, I would get into like 11 o'clock, which was good because the board didn't have too many questions by then.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
suppose
right.
so.
Okay, we done now? I move to adjourn.
Thank you, everybody.
Seconded.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Matt,
Thank
you're the
you.
only one that catches my little barbs.